Update. Am I the a-hole for showing my coworker what just being honest can be like? Original post. I don't know how else to put this because it's a weird situation. I, 26 female, started working at my job 6 months ago, and I immediately realized it was a horrible work environment. The men act like they're still in a frat house or something. There is one in particular who is like their evil leader. Let's call him Jake, 30s male. He says he's just honest and talks about free speech, or how he just says the first thing that comes to his mind. He is just disrespectful and a bad person in my opinion. I started looking for a new job 3 months ago, but haven't had any luck with the same pay, so I'm still here. As I said, he is cruel and mean to everyone, especially the women and a couple of guys who aren't alpha enough. For more context, I have ADHD and other things, and I struggled a lot as a teen and early 20s to be kind to people and myself. I also still have impulses to say all the mean things that come to mind, but I worked hard in therapy to stop those thoughts and redirect myself elsewhere. Anyway, I decided to give him the same treatment he gave everyone after he told a pregnant coworker he couldn't understand how her husband hadn't cheated on her yet because she's a cow now. I started about 3 weeks ago. He came to talk to me and told me I'm basically a dude because I don't have enough chest, and I told him, Jake, are you balding, or was your forehead always that inhumanly big? And so on. But yesterday we were talking with a few coworkers about all I cooked for New Year's because I tend to go overboard, and they were impressed with my dinner. He came over and started saying nonsense and throwing insults. So I said, see, this is exactly why your daddy left you. And I continued with my conversation. Well, he talked to HR, and I have an appointment to talk to them on Thursday. However, my coworkers said they would support me, and they decided to file complaints against Jake now and document his behavior. Apparently, they already did, but HR just gave him a slap on the wrist, and they are angry now because HR wants to talk to me so fast. I'm not particularly scared about the appointment, but I wonder if I went a little too far. Yes, he started it, but I don't tend to lower myself to bullies' levels. I really didn't see any other way when HR never did anything about the complaints. I don't really want to apologize to him, but I'll do it if I cross the line, because as I said, I work hard in therapy to be as decent a human as I can be, and maybe this wasn't the best way to handle all this. So, am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments before reading the update. Not the a-hole. Don't dish out if you can't take it. Also, it wasn't very alpha of him when he involved the HR LMAO. Everybody else in that place should just give him back the same energy. Maybe he'd quit. I can't understand how you just let a loser bully you when you're also a grown adult. For the women, I can understand a little more because these types of guys are unhinged, but as a man, beat his butt outside of work or something, lol. Not the a-hole. If HR requires an apology, you can always word the apology properly. I am sorry I made fun of your large forehead. I see now that going bald is making you uncomfortable, and I will not mention it again. This is hilarious, but sadly I can't say this without losing my job. You can say it without saying it. I'm sorry that you took my joke about your baldness so personally. I thought we had an honest, joking relationship, since you've previously commented on my chest size and implied that it made me a man. I will be more careful with your sensitive feelings in the future. Not the a-hole, but I would walk into that meeting with documentation from you and your other co-workers about the things he has said to each of you and let them know that if they want to take disciplinary action against you, it wouldn't be advised until they take care of his issue. Should they decide to discipline you, I would take the evidence from your other co-workers and yourself, signed by each person, and let HR know you'll be talking to an attorney about harassment in the workplace and a hostile working environment. HR is there to protect the company, not you. The minute they know there are serious issues, they'll suddenly address it. Also, do we know if Jake is friends with this HR person? Because that could explain the slap on the wrist. This is a good idea, thanks. I don't know if he is capable of making friends, but it's worth looking into that. Now for the update. Well, I had my meeting with HR, and it went relatively okay. First of all, I went into detective mode and found out that one of the HR guys, Dylan, was related to Jake. Their moms are cousins, so they don't have the same last name or anything. But I found Jake's mom's Facebook and then a picture with Jake's mom, Dylan, and his mom. I screenshotted it, talked to my supervisor, and he decided to come with me to the meeting. In the meeting, there was Dylan, his boss, Jake, my supervisor, and me. Dylan tried to lead the meeting and suggested immediate termination, but my supervisor told him we would have our meeting with the other HR guy because I deserved a neutral meeting, and then showed both of them the picture. Dylan's face dropped, but he didn't say anything else after that and just left the room. The other HR guy talked to me and my supervisor, and I gave him my story, along with about 12 notes signed by my coworkers describing their experiences with Jake. The HR guy called a couple of them, including my pregnant coworker, into his office after dismissing me. On Friday, I had another meeting, but it was only me and the HR guy. I talked about how uncomfortable I felt and how everyone tried to do the right thing by reporting him, but HR never did anything. He said he understood, and that, sadly, Dylan was not impartial in his actions by covering for Jake, but that it had been dealt with. He said I wasn't going to get written up or anything, and that I was in the clear, but he asked me not to repeat this. I told him I wasn't planning on doing it again, and he just told me to go to him if something else happened. Yesterday, I got to the office and everything was normal, but at noon my supervisor came to find me and my pregnant coworker and told us that Jake and Dylan were let go. He said Dylan might have some legal troubles with the company, but he couldn't discuss that, and asked us not to say anything about it to anyone else, and that people would realize about Jake anyway. I also have a second interview at another company next week. I'm hopeful but also nervous, because I've had interviews before that didn't go anywhere in the end. That's all. It was more dramatic than I expected. I thought they'd fire me and keep Jake or something, but finding out Dylan was covering for Jake because of their family relationship helped me tremendously. Thank you for the advice. It was really useful. I remember your first post and I'm glad to see this update. I'm guessing that Dylan's employment in the HR department is how Jake managed to get away with this stuff up until this point, since clearly no one knew about the connection until you pointed it out. That lines up with what you said in your first post about Jake only getting a slap on the wrist before. My additional guess regarding Dylan is that the legal troubles could very well have something to do with proof that he covered up for Jake in the past, including perhaps some instances that could have opened the company up to a lawsuit for either something Jake said or wrongful termination of an employee who reported it. Good for you for doing a little digging and finding what you did, then bringing it with you as proof and leverage. Glad Dylan and Jake had the day they deserved. It's also possible they didn't disclose their relationship and that on top of everything else is putting Dylan especially in hot water. This is one of those rare updates where things actually went the way they should. You handled this incredibly smartly by bringing evidence, witnesses, and your supervisor. Dylan pushing for your termination and then going silent the moment you exposed the conflict of interest says everything. You did not overreact. You documented a pattern and let HR do its job once the right person was involved. I am really glad you are in the clear and that both Jake and Dylan were let go. As for the new interview, being nervous is normal, but you proved you can handle pressure and advocate for yourself. That matters more than you think. Good luck. The reason this went so well, I think, had very little to do with the evidence that Dylan is a piece of crap, and more to do with the fact that the HR boss suddenly had a serious and potentially illegal problem on their team, which they are accountable for. This would have become immediately obvious the moment their employee pushed for summary dismissal without exploring the evidence. OP finding out about this conflict of interest and having proof is what absolutely sorted this out. Next story. Am I the a-hole for skipping my own surprise birthday party once I found out it wasn't really for me? I have never been big on birthdays. Don't get me wrong, I don't hate them. I just prefer something low-key. Dinner with my closest friends, maybe watching a film, something small basically. Everyone close to me knows this, especially my sister, let's call her Maya, who loves big gestures and believes every birthday or achievement needs balloons, a theme, and much, much more. 2 weeks before my birthday, Maya started acting strange. She kept asking me if I'd be free that Saturday, and acted weirdly when I asked why. I suspected that she was up to something, so I told her again that I didn't want a party. She just laughed and said that, as per usual, I was being no fun. A couple of nights ago, the night before my birthday, one of our mutual friends let it slip that it was a party. She mentioned what she was wearing. Anyway, it turns out the whole family was invited and it was at our parents' house. Some coworkers were also invited, but here's the kicker: my freaking ex. For a little context, my ex and I broke up about 2 months ago. It ended pretty badly, no abuse or cheating, but it wasn't a pleasant ending. I've made it pretty clear to everyone in my life that I want no contact. Maya knows this. However, she's told me multiple times that I should just get over the whole situation because he's a nice guy and that he's been a part of all our lives for years. The first thing I did was call Maya demanding answers, and she didn't deny it. She just said that we could finally talk it all out. She admitted that she hadn't just thrown this party for my birthday, but also so everyone could see my ex again, and we could fix things between us. She literally said to me that I'd thank her later. I went mad. I said to her that she had no right, that I would have been ambushed into the situation on my birthday, and this was all after I had specifically said that I didn't want a party. She just said that I was dramatic and bloody ungrateful, that she had this whole thing planned because I wouldn't find better, and it was a good gift. She said everyone had gifts and had traveled, and that everyone was excited. So yesterday, my birthday, I completely powered off my phone and didn't let anyone know, other than my best friend. We went out for lunch and went on a walk together. I ended up having a great day. When I finally got home, I turned my phone on and it was mental. Maya was fuming. People were disappointed, and people even said I embarrassed Maya. Maya is now basically saying that I ruined the whole party and made it all about me. It was literally my birthday. She says that she did it out of a good place in her heart, and that I should at least apologize for not showing up and letting people know. So, am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. And you should post on your socials to let the rest of your family and friends know you told her not to do that. And she went ahead anyway, so they know it's her fault, not you. I'd wager that OP is not a post to my socials for the whole world to see type of person. I don't have an issue with it. However, I'd rather email or text everyone privately. There's no need to create any more drama over the situation. That's like adding fuel to the fire, lol. Not the a-hole. Don't be surprised when Maya and your ex end up dating. Oh my god, this was exactly my read of the situation. Yep, she needs to send a group message stating she explicitly said she didn't want a party, and that under no circumstances did she want to see the ex. When she learned of the party, she gave her sister a chance to at least uninvite the ex. When that was refused, she decided to control the one piece she could, her own attendance. If the family would prefer to keep company with the ex instead of her, that is fine, but they should let her know so she knows which numbers to erase from her phone. Last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to leave my job so I could take care of my disabled brother? I'm 22, female, fresh out of college with a marketing degree. My 19-year-old younger brother Alex has Down syndrome. He's verbal, funny, obsessed with superheroes and puzzles, but needs support with daily routines, social interactions, and medication for his heart condition, hyperheart, and of course, supervision to avoid impulsive behaviors. He attends a day program for young adults with disabilities and lives at home. Our parents, mom 48 female and dad 50 male, both work. Mom part-time retail, dad in logistics. From middle school onward, I was Alex's main helper. After-school pickups, homework, meds, meltdowns, bedtime stories sometimes. My older sister, 25, moved out early and was rarely asked to help. She is busy with her career. I skipped clubs, parties, even frats because Alex trusts you most. He calms down faster with you, according to my parents. I still graduated on time and landed my dream entry-level job at a high-end tech firm. Starts next month at $65,000 a year and great benefits. My parents congratulated me until Alex's day program cut hours due to funding issues. There are no spots in alternatives for a long time, and private aides cost over $35 an hour. They claim they can't afford it. They 100% can. So, at a family lunch last week, they cornered me. Alex's program is ending soon, and they said, "We need you to quit the job and stay home to watch him during the day because you're the only one he truly listens to." It's just temporary family duty, and you need to take care of your brother. I was shocked. The job is my foot in the door. Deferring means losing it, restarting applications, maybe relocating. I've waited years for this independence. I took care of my brother for a long time, and this job meant everything to me, living my life again. They brushed it off. Jobs come and go. Alex didn't choose this. You've always been amazing with him. We can't risk a stranger messing up his routine, etc. Then I asked why my sister couldn't help, or why they couldn't adjust shifts or use savings. Mom teared up. She's got her own life now. We've given up so much. It's your turn to step up for your brother. But I was already taking care of him fully. Then I said no. I'd already signed the offer, bought work clothes, and planned my commute. This is my future, and I don't want to miss it. Dad got mad. So you're picking a paycheck over your disabled brother's well-being? What kind of sister are you? I packed my things that night and moved in with a friend after a while. It was intense. My parents told family I'm ditching Alex for some fancy job. Relatives call me selfish. A few months won't ruin your career, but lack of care could devastate him. I genuinely love my brother. He has disabilities, but he is the kindest brother anybody could wish for, and I really care about him. But I feel like I did everything in my power to be there for him. Please be honest. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You are not obligated to be your brother's free full-time caretaker. We only get one life. You need to live yours. Take the job, move out, and live your life. That doesn't mean don't spend time with your brother, but you need to prioritize your life first. Your parents are calling you selfish because they are used to being able to dump things on you and have you do it. Now is the time for that to stop. I bet if you ask your brother, he'd want you to be happy in life. And that means taking this job and setting yourself up for a good future. Anytime a relative gives her a hard time, OP needs to tell them they can talk when they quit their job to look after the brother. She was parentified to a ridiculous degree. Now she deserves to live her 20s. Sounds like your mom is choosing a paycheck over her son. You know, if you did stay temporarily, there would be a series of events that would keep you there a very long time, until you became his permanent caregiver. It's nonsensical from a pure financial standpoint for OP to give up $65,000 to stay home while mom keeps working retail. I think the reason they're asking OP to care for her brother versus asking OP to help pay for care they can't afford is because the parents' long-term plan is for OP to take care of her brother forever. I really encourage OP to look into therapy. This isn't going to be an easy boundary to set and enforce. Having a neutral party you can talk to, who can help support you in figuring out how you want to handle all of this and following through, would be helpful.